It looks like the upcoming John Wick 4's already started dropping hints about what's to come with Wick and Winston's relationship. Chapter 3 set up the scene for the final showdown where everything will come to a head, especially after that cliffhanger it ended in. In this video, we'll discuss the major Winston twist that John Wick 4's hinted at and the consequences that the character might face. First off, what's the major Winston twist that might happen? In John Wick Chapter 4, it looks like John's going to work with Winston, and Chapter 3, Parabellum, did give away hints that this might happen, since the first John Wick movie, the Baba Yaga, avenged the death of his dog by killing an assassin. He's been fighting a war to get back to his old life and stop being an assassin. In John Wick 4, John and Bowery King will face off against the High Table. This is where everything will come to a head. At the end of John Wick 3, John's old friend Winston seems to try to kill John to stay in good standing with the Elder and the High Table. But John ends up surviving when John and Bowery King first made a deal. With John Wick 3 ending on such a cliffhanger, it seems unlikely that John would look to Winston as a friend in John Wick 4, but the groundwork for them to work together has been set in stone. Up next, Winston didn't kill John in John Wick 3. In John Wick 3, the adjudicator of the High Table agrees to peace with Winston and the Continental, but she wants to know what'll happen to John after he refused to kill Winston as ordered by the High Table. Winston hesitates for a moment, then says, "Oh, he has to die," and shoots John in the chest, making him fall off the roof. But the fact that Winston shot John in the armored part of his body has led to the idea that Winston didn't really want to kill John. If Winston had wanted to get rid of John, he could have just shot him in the head. Even so, Winston's plan looks a lot like a Hail Mary play. He couldn't be sure that John would survive the fall, but it's possible that John and Winston came up with the plan together when no one was looking. Any way you look at it, the fact that there was even a chance that John could live shows that Winston wanted John to live the whole time. Followed by, why would they work together? Winston and John have been friends for a long time, so it's possible that Winston's pulling the strings behind the scenes to help John and the Bowery King's High Table battle. He said before that he liked how John was able to live a normal life after he retired. He also got John to work with him against the High Table, even though John had been sent to kill Winston. Winston could be John's best friend in trying to get his freedom back because he knows how much John's been through since his wife died. If that's what they both want, it makes more sense that Winston would try to hide his tracks by making it look like he was trying to kill John. The advice Winston gives John in the trailer for John Wick 4 also shows that he's an important part of John's possible escape plan. John and Winston seem to be on the same page in John Wick Chapter 4. They may even keep working together in the spin-off Ballerina, which could take the place of John Wick 5. Moving on to, the trailer suggests this film will be the biggest in the franchise. John Wick 2 took John Wick to Italy, which made the franchise more international. Then a big part of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum took place in Morocco, which made the franchise even more international. As the trailer shows, John Wick 4 continues the series' global scope, but the sequel's bigger picture isn't just about the places it takes place. In John Wick 4, there seems to be more important characters, both friends and foes, than in the other movies. It's always exciting to see Keanu Reeves and some of the biggest action stars in the world on screen, but John Wick also has amazing fight scenes and a story that keeps getting better. The way the Continental Hotel works on the inside, the High Table, and the fact that John Wick can find enemies and friends all over the world mean that no movies were the same as the one before this one. This is why John Wick 4 could be the best one yet. After Parabellum, it seemed like there wasn't much room for John Wick to grow, but the two trailers for John Wick 4 have shown that isn't true. Now let's look at how the character might face the consequences of his actions in John Wick 4. Chad Stahelski said that the character played by Keanu Reeves will have to deal with the consequences of his actions in the next movie. After the success of the third film in 2019, Reeves's eponymous assassin will be back in 2020 for the fourth installment, where he'll face his biggest challenges yet. In the first trailer for John Wick Chapter 4, we got a taste of some of the action that Keanu Reeves's assassin will be getting into. Now, in an interview, Chad Stahelski tells us more about the movie's plot. The movie's director said that as Wick deals deals with the consequences of his past actions, he'll come to some important realizations. Not to mention how John Wick 3 sets up John Wick 4. In the most recent movie in Stahelski's action series, John Wick's on the run after being told he's excommunicado. This means that hundreds of assassins are looking for him all over the world. At the end of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, Winston, who's been Wick's constant ally throughout the series, betrays him after he beats everything that the High Table throws at him. Wick gets bit by a bullet and falls off a building. He lands in an alleyway below. At first, it looks like Reeves' character is dead, but in the last few minutes of Chapter 3, he's brought to the Bowery King, hurt but ready to get his revenge. In Chapter 4, Wick's going to war, so it looks like he'll have to fight assassins from his past. Kane seems to be one of these. The new character seems to work on the Marquis, who's an important member of the High Table. In the new trailer for John Wick Chapter 4, Kane and Wick are shown fighting, but a number of other new characters could also turn on him, possibly because of things that happened to him when he was an assassin. Let's learn more about what will happen to Wick in Chapter 4. There are still a lot of questions about what'll happen to Wick in John Wick Chapter 4, but it seems likely that it'll have something to do with the new characters. That's because Wick has a history with several of them. After being allies for 3 movies, it'll be interesting to see Wick and Winston on opposite sides of a conflict, especially since McShane's character has a lot of power as the manager of the New York Continental Hotel. With the movie coming out in just over 3 months, more information about John Wick Chapter 4 is likely to come out soon. This could include a new trailer. Coming up, Keanu Reeves' character could lose the final battle. In the trailer, there are hints that Keanu Reeves' character might lose a fight. The trailer for the 4th movie in the John Wick series showed some of the battles that John will have to fight now that he's made the High Table angry. John Wick will have to fight different characters because of what he did in the last film. In the first 3 movies, Keanu Reeves' character, John Wick, has shown how good he is at fighting. Even though he's faced some strong opponents, none of them have been able to beat him decisively. But the trailer for Chapter 4 makes it seem like John might not win this time. The movie's plot, as shown in the trailer, is that John will have to fight Skarsgård's character, the Marquis de Gramont, alone. Given how important this fight is and how much the trailer focuses on it, it seems like the Skarsgård's bad guy in John Wick is strong enough to make it hard for John to win. Next, Marquis isn't the only threat in John Wick 4. As shown in the trailer for John Wick 4, the Marquis isn't the only danger John will have to worry about in John Wick Chapter 4. At the end of the trailer, he was shown fighting hard with Donnie Yen's character, Kane. Since the Kung Fu star is known as one of the best martial arts actors of all time, it makes sense that his character will be a very skilled fighter. So no matter what happens when John fights the Marquis, he could also lose when he faces Kane. Finally, could the movie pave the way for John Wick 5? What happens at his promised showdown with the Marquis can help set the stage for John Wick 5. If he won, he would get his one way out, and maybe the end of the story for good. But if he lost, his journey would go on for at least one more movie. If he survives but doesn't beat the Marquis, his fight with the High Table will only get worse. He'd have to fight off one killer after another. Chapter 4 seems to be about John getting the High Table to let him go. Chapter 5 can take things to the next level by making John take a more aggressive approach. If he doesn't find a way to make the High Table happy, the fighting will get so bad that he'll have to kill them all to move on. If John realizes that a peaceful solution's no longer possible, he could spend his 5th movie looking for each member of the High Table until the whole group's broken up. And on that note, that is a wrap for this video. So what do you think about the major Winston twist in John Wick 4? Let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.